The whispers used to cut like razors. They'd slice through your confidence in the school hallways, the workplace corridors, and even in the supposed safety of your own social circles. "You're trying too hard," they'd say. "Why can't you just be normal?" The mockery came in waves, sometimes subtle, like sideways glances and stifled laughs, other times brutal and direct, leaving no room for interpretation. You were different, and they made sure you felt it. Perhaps it was your unwavering dedication to your craft while others chased fleeting pleasures. Maybe it was your refusal to compromise your values when everyone else bent like reeds in the wind. Or possibly, it was simply your audacity to believe in dreams that seemed too big for someone like you. They called you obsessed when you stayed up late perfecting your skills. They labeled you antisocial when you chose learning over mindless socializing. "You think you're better than us?" they'd sneer, misinterpreting your focus for arrogance. The truth was, you weren't trying to be better than anyone. You were simply trying to be better than your previous self. Each morning you'd wake up before dawn while they slept off their hangovers. Every weekend you'd grind while they complained about Monday being around the corner. "Life isn't all about work," they'd lecture, as if your passion was somehow a character flaw. But what they saw as work, you saw as purpose. What they dismissed as obsession, you embraced as dedication. The loneliness was perhaps the heaviest burden. Not the kind of loneliness that comes from being alone. You had plenty of moments of solitude that you cherished. No, this was the loneliness of being misunderstood, of having to carry your vision solo because no one else could see what you saw, of having to believe enough for everyone else when they were busy betting against you. Remember those nights when doubt would creep in like a thief, attempting to steal your resolve? When their words would replay in your mind like a broken record, almost convincing you that maybe they were right. Almost. But something deep within you, call it spirit, call it stubbornness, call it the mark of the chosen, wouldn't let you quit. You learned to find strength in their skepticism. Their doubt became your fuel. Every smirk, every dismissive comment, every well-meaning suggestion to be realistic, you alchemized it all into pure determination. While they were busy mocking your journey, you were busy forging yourself in the fires of their derision. The transformation wasn't overnight. It never is. It happened in small moments, in quiet victories that no one else saw. It happened in the early morning hours when your alarm went off and you chose discipline over comfort. It happened in the late nights when you pushed through fatigue because your hunger for growth was stronger than your need for rest. And then something shifted. The changes became impossible to ignore. Your dedication started bearing fruit. The skills you'd been honing in silence began to shine in the light. The vision you'd been pursuing, the one they said was impossible, started materializing before their very eyes. Suddenly, the same people who laughed at your ambitions were asking about your secrets. Those who called you crazy were now calling you for advice. The very individuals who said you were wasting your time now wanted to know how you got so lucky. Lucky, they called it, as if they hadn't witnessed every step of your grueling journey. Their envy manifests in fascinating ways. Some try to diminish your success with backhanded compliments. "Must be nice," they say, conveniently forgetting the years of sacrifice they mocked. Others attempt to rewrite history, claiming they always believed in you, as if you couldn't remember their snickers and eye rolls. The most interesting ones are those who try to jump on your bandwagon now, attempting to retrofit themselves into your story. "We should collaborate," they say. The same people who wouldn't give you the time of day when you were building from the ground up. Their sudden interest would be amusing if it weren't so transparent. But you're not bitter. How could you be? Their mockery was the whetstone that sharpened your resolve. Their doubt was the resistance that built your strength. In an ironic twist, they gave you exactly what you needed, the adversity required to become unstoppable. Now you understand why you had to walk that lonely path. You realize that being chosen isn't about being special from the start. It's about being willing to endure what others won't. It's about maintaining faith in your vision when no one else can see it. It's about being strong enough to stand alone, and wise enough to know that sometimes standing alone is exactly where you need to be. Those nights you spent working while they partied, they shaped your work ethic. The weekends you invested in learning while they wasted away, they built your expertise. The social events you missed because you were focused on your goals, they forged your discipline. Everything they mocked you for has become the foundation of what they now envy. Your strength isn't just in what you've achieved, it's in who you've become. The journey that they ridiculed has sculpted you into something remarkable. Not just successful, but resilient. Not just accomplished, but wise. Not just strong, but unshakable. You've learned to wear their past mockery like a badge of honor. Each taunt, each dismissive comment, each attempt to discourage you, they're all part of your origin story now. They tried to break you, but instead they helped build you. They meant to tear you down, but accidentally contributed to your rise. The power you hold now isn't just in your success, it's in your story. Every person who's ever felt different, who's been laughed at for their dreams, who's been told they're too much or not enough, can look at you and see hope. You're proof that the very things people mock can become the sources of incredible strength. What's most remarkable is how your transformation has affected those around you. Some of your critics have become students, swallowing their pride to learn from someone they once ridiculed. Others watch from afar, their envy mixing with regret as they realize they could have been part of your journey instead of standing in your way. Yet here's what sets you apart even further. You're willing to help them, not out of obligation, but because your journey has given you something greater than success: wisdom. You understand now that their mockery came from their own fears and limitations. Their laughter was often a mask for their own insecurities. The tables have turned, but you're not interested in revenge. You've learned that true strength isn't about getting even, it's about moving forward. While they busy themselves with envy, you're already focusing on your next horizon. While they waste energy trying to explain away your success, you're investing that energy in growing further. You've discovered that being chosen isn't a static state, it's an ongoing journey. Each new level brings its own challenges, its own critics, its own tests. But now, you move through them differently. Their words don't cut anymore because you've built an armor of self-belief that no external validation can penetrate. Your presence has become a mirror, reflecting back to others their own choices and compromises. When they look at you, they see what's possible when someone refuses to shrink themselves to make others comfortable. They see what happens when someone chooses faith over fear, action over excuses, persistence over popularity. The impact of your transformation ripples out in ways you couldn't have imagined. Young dreamers look at you and see permission to be different. Fellow strivers see you and find courage to continue their own journeys. Even some of your former critics have found inspiration in your story, finally understanding that what they once mocked as obsession was actually dedication in its purest form. You've become living proof that the path to greatness often begins with being misunderstood, that today's mockery can become tomorrow's motivation, that what others label as weird, antisocial, or excessive might actually be the early signs of excellence in the making. This journey has taught you to recognize others like you, the ones currently being mocked for their dedication, ridiculed for their focus, laughed at for their dreams. You see in them what others once refused to see in you, and sometimes a simple nod of understanding from you, an acknowledgement of their path, can give them the strength to continue when everything seems to be against them. Your strength now serves as a beacon, but not in the way most might think. It's not about showcasing superiority or proving critics wrong. Instead, it's about demonstrating possibility. Every time you succeed, every time you push beyond what others deemed impossible, you crack open the door of possibility a little wider for those coming behind you. Looking back, you realize that being chosen wasn't about being special. It was about being stubborn enough to persist when others would have quit. It was about having the courage to be misunderstood, the strength to stand alone, and the vision to see beyond current circumstances to future possibilities. The weight of others' expectations, their mockery, their doubt, it all served to strengthen you, like gravity strengthens bone and muscle. What they intended as obstacles became your stepping stones. Their attempts to diminish you only served to fuel your growth. Now, as they watch your continued ascent with a mixture of awe and envy, you understand something they don't. This was never about them. Their mockery didn't define you. Your response to it did. Their envy doesn't elevate you. Your consistent growth does. You are not strong because they are weak. You are strong because you chose to be day after day, decision after decision. What they never understood was the beautiful solitude of your darkest moments. Those quiet hours when you wrestled with self-doubt, when you questioned everything, when you had to find reasons to continue that went beyond proving them wrong. In those moments, you forged a relationship with yourself that became unshakable. Society celebrates overnight successes while ignoring the decade of nights that preceded them. They want the highlight reel without acknowledging the countless hours of practice. The same people who now beg for your secret formula scroll past the years of dedication captured in your old posts, searching for some mythical shortcut that doesn't exist. Your journey taught you to recognize the difference between critics and criticism. Critics talk, criticism teaches. While they were busy pointing fingers, you were busy pointing yourself toward growth. Their harshest words became your greatest teachers, not because they were right, but because they challenged you to examine your convictions. The metamorphosis extended beyond your achievements. It seeped into your very being, altering how you carry yourself, how you process challenges, how you view the world. The posture of apologetic dreamer transformed into that of an unapologetic achiever, not through arrogance, but through the quiet confidence that comes from intimately knowing your own worth. Those who once mocked you now study your patterns, trying to reverse engineer your success. They mirror your habits without understanding the mindset behind them. They copy your methods without grasping the madness, the beautiful, necessary madness of believing in something bigger than yourself. Your old social media posts have become their inspiration porn. The same status updates they once ridiculed as attention-seeking now serve as their morning motivation. They share your journey with their followers, carefully cropping out the parts where they were the ones holding you back. The jealousy comes wrapped in questions now. Don't you think you're doing too much? Has transformed into, how do you do so much? The tone has changed, but the underlying attempt to make you smaller remains. The difference is, you've grown too strong to be diminished by their limitations. You've learned to recognize the peculiar language of envy. It speaks in but statements. You're doing great, but don't you miss having a normal life? As if normalcy was ever your goal, as if conforming to their standards was ever part of your mission. The most fascinating transformation has been in how you view challenges. What once seemed like insurmountable obstacles now appear as assignments, tests of your resolve, opportunities for growth. You've learned to smile at difficulties, knowing they're simply growth arriving in uncomfortable packaging. Your presence has become disruptive in the most powerful way. Simply by existing as you are, by continuing to grow and evolve, you force others to confront their own chosen mediocrity. Your success makes their excuses sound hollow, even to their own ears. They try to rationalize your achievements through external factors. They had advantages, they whisper among themselves, conveniently forgetting how they once mocked those same advantages as wastes of time. They got lucky, they insist, as if luck favors those who shrink from challenges. What they label as luck, you know as preparation meeting opportunity. While they waited for the perfect moment, you were busy creating it. While they sought guarantees, you embraced uncertainty. While they needed permission, you moved forward with conviction. The dynamics of your relationships have shifted. Those who once offered unsolicited advice now seek your counsel. Those who questioned your choices now question their own. The very people who said you were doing it wrong now ask you to teach them how to do it right. Yet you've remained a student. Even as others try to put you on a pedestal, you keep your feet firmly planted in curiosity. Your hunger for growth hasn't diminished with success. If anything, it's intensified. You've learned that being chosen isn't a destination. It's a perpetual commitment to evolution. Your achievements have become a mirror, reflecting back to others their unused potential. Some can't bear to look, turning their discomfort into criticism of your continued striving. When is enough enough? They ask, as if greatness adheres to their schedule of contentment. The isolation you once felt has transformed into selective solitude. You're no longer alone because you're rejected. You're selective because you've learned the value of your energy, time, and purpose. The very people who made you feel like an outcast now wish they had a seat at your table. Your message has become clear without you having to speak it. Greatness isn't granted, it's grown. Every sacrifice they mocked, every choice they questioned, every priority they criticized, all of it was merely preparation for who you were becoming. The contrast between then and now serves as a testament to the power of vision. While they saw what was, you saw what could be. While they focused on current comforts, you invested in future capabilities. While they clung to the familiar, you dared to embrace the unknown. Time has become your greatest ally. revealing the wisdom of your choices through undeniable results. The same decisions they labeled as excessive now stand as examples of exceptional foresight. Your obsessions have morphed into expertise, your overthinking into insight. Each level of success has brought its own set of lessons. You've learned that new heights bring new challenges, that greater achievements attract greater scrutiny, but you've also learned that strength compounds, that resilience builds upon itself, that each overcome obstacle makes the next one less daunting. Your journey has redefined what's possible for those watching. Every milestone you reach pushes back the boundaries of what others believe they can achieve. Your existence has become a challenge to their self-imposed limitations, your success a question mark against their accepted impossibilities. The power you now hold isn't just in what you can do, it's in what you inspire others to believe about themselves. Every time you succeed, you create a crack in someone else's ceiling of possibility. Every time you break through a barrier, you weaken that same barrier for others. Those who mocked your commitment now commend your consistency. Those who laughed at your dreams now long for your reality. Those who said you were wasting your time now wish they had started when you did. But you know something they don't, that the best time to begin was then, but the second best time is now. Your strength has become a language all its own, speaking through results rather than rebuttals. You no longer need to defend your choices. Your success does that for you. You no longer need to explain your methods. Your achievements speak for themselves. The peace you've found isn't in proving them wrong, though you have. It's in proving yourself right. It's in knowing that your inner voice, the one they tried to silence with their mockery, was leading you towards something extraordinary all along. Each milestone becomes a message to your younger self, validating every tear, every doubt, every moment of questioning whether it would all be worth it. Your success has become a conversation across time, proving that your struggles weren't a detour, they were the way. The isolation that once felt like punishment has revealed itself as preparation. It filtered out those who couldn't handle your growth, leaving space for those who could contribute to your evolution. What felt like rejection was actually protection, guarding your dreams from those who would diminish them. Now you understand why diamonds form under pressure, why gold must pass through fire. The very conditions that they thought would break you became the forces that shaped you. Their mockery was merely the sandpaper that polished your rough edges into brilliant facets. You've learned to recognize others walking the path you once traveled. You see them in corners of offices, in quiet library nooks, in empty gyms during off hours. They carry the same look you once wore, that mixture of determination and doubt, of isolation and inner fire. Sometimes a simple nod from you, a knowing look, gives them the strength to continue another day. The language of the chosen speaks in actions, not excuses. While others craft elaborate reasons why they can't, you simply show why you did. Your journey has become a testament to the power of sustained effort, a rebuke to the culture of instant gratification that once mocked your patient progress. The most profound change isn't in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. Gone is the need for external validation. Gone is the habit of shrinking to make others comfortable. In their place stands an unshakable self-trust, built not on arrogance but on the bedrock of proven resilience. Those who once said you were doing too much now scramble to catch up. They buy the books you read years ago, start the habits you developed long ago, seek the knowledge you acquired when they were busy criticizing your choices. The irony isn't lost on you, but neither is the lesson. Everyone's journey begins when they're ready. Your presence has become a disruption to mediocrity. Simply by continuing to grow, to strive, to reach for more, you challenge the comfortable complacency of those around you. Your achievements are a mirror they can't avoid, reflecting back the consequences of their choices. The questions have changed from, "Why are you working so hard?" to "How did you know to start so early?" They study your past social media posts like ancient texts, searching for the moment when it all turned around, refusing to accept that it never turned. You simply kept going straight while they went in circles. What they see as your overnight success was really 5 years of nights. What they label as luck was actually preparation meeting opportunity, meeting opportunity, again and again. While they waited for the perfect moment, you were busy creating it. You've discovered that strength isn't just about what you can lift, achieve, or overcome. It's about what you can inspire in others. Your journey has become a North Star for others navigating their own darkness, proof that the path less traveled, though lonely, leads to extraordinary destinations. The silence of your early mornings has become sacred to you now. In those quiet hours before the world wakes, you find the space to push boundaries that others don't even see. Your solitude has become a superpower, your ability to be alone with your ambitions a strength they never understood. Their mockery has morphed into a desperate need to rationalize your success. They must have had help, they whisper. They must have known someone. Anything to avoid confronting the simple truth. You worked while they watched. You started while they slept. You built while they talked. Your transformation serves as a living testament to the power of delayed gratification in an instant world. While they chased quick fixes and shortcuts, you laid foundations. While they sought life hacks, you developed life skills. While they wanted microwave success, you built a legacy brick by brick. The envy in their eyes reveals more about their regrets than your success. They're not really jealous of what you have. They're haunted by the choices they didn't make, the chances they didn't take, the comfort they chose over growth. Your success simply makes these choices impossible to ignore. You've learned that being chosen isn't about being special. It's about being specialized in your dedication. It's not about having extraordinary talent, but about bringing extraordinary commitment to whatever talents you possess. It's not about being gifted, but about being relentless. The peace you've found isn't in achieving your goals, but in loving the process of pursuit. The strength you've built isn't from reaching the summit, but from falling in love with the climb. This is what they could never understand, that your joy wasn't in the destination, but in the journey itself. Your story has become a contradiction to their excuses, a challenge to their limitations, a question mark against their settled certainties. Simply by existing, by succeeding, by continuing to grow, you've made it harder for them to accept their own self-imposed boundaries. The power you now hold isn't in your ability to prove them wrong, though you have. It's in your ability to prove what's possible. Every ceiling you break becomes a floor for someone else to stand on. Every barrier you cross makes that crossing a little easier for those who follow. They study your methods now, trying to replicate your results without understanding that success leaves clues, but not shortcuts. They want the blueprint without the building, the crown without the cross, the throne without the responsibility. They see your strength but miss your scars. Your journey has revealed that being chosen isn't about being selected by others. It's about selecting yourself, day after day, choice after choice. It's about choosing growth when comfort beckons, choosing discipline when distraction tempts, choosing long-term vision over short-term validation. The transformation continues. Even now, each new level brings its own challenges, its own critics, its own tests. But you move through them differently now, understanding that resistance isn't just an obstacle, it's an opportunity. Opposition isn't just a barrier, it's a builder. In the end, what they mocked wasn't your struggles. It was your audacity to believe that those struggles would lead somewhere meaningful. What they envied wasn't your strength. It was your courage to pursue strength when weakness would have been more convenient. Your presence has become both an inspiration and an irritation, inspiring to those ready to grow, irritating to those committed to stagnation. You've learned to be comfortable with both reactions, understanding that any light bright enough to guide will also be bright enough to expose. The solitude that once felt like punishment has revealed itself as privilege, the privilege of charting your own course, of hearing your own thoughts, of building your own vision without the constant intrusion of others' doubts and fears. The way you carry your strength now has evolved beyond physical manifestation. It radiates from within, a quiet confidence that needs no announcement, no validation, no external acknowledgement. Those who once questioned your path now question their own perception of possibility. Your growth has created an uncomfortable mirror for those who chose comfort over challenge. In your presence, their excuses sound hollow even to their own ears. Your existence has become a living reminder of roads not taken, of chances not seized, of comfort zones not challenged. The most profound shift has been in your relationship with struggle itself. Where others see obstacles, you see opportunities for expansion. What they label as problems, you recognize as growth attempting to happen. Their breaking points have become your breakthrough moments. You've learned to recognize the subtle language of destiny calling. It speaks through challenges that seem custom designed for your growth. through obstacles that appear precisely when you're strong enough to overcome them. What others call bad luck, you now recognize as life's gym equipment. The isolation you once felt has transformed into a cultivated solitude. You're no longer alone by circumstance, but by choice, understanding that certain levels of growth require certain levels of silence. The very people who made you feel excluded now perceive your boundaries as exclusivity. Your journey has exposed the myth of overnight success for what it is, a comforting lie told by those who fear the long road. They want your strength without your struggles, your wisdom without your wounds, your success without your sacrifices. They seek a destination without acknowledging the distance. The evolution of their mockery has been fascinating to witness. What began as outright derision transformed into skeptical questioning, then reluctant acknowledgement, and finally desperate imitation. Yet they still miss the essential truth, that your results are merely the visible surface of a deep internal transformation. You've discovered that true strength isn't in the absence of fear, but in the mastery of it. While they avoided what frightened them, you learned to dance with your fears, to transform them from paralyzers into energizers. Your relationship with fear has become a source of power rather than limitation. The questions you get now reveal more about the askers than they do about you. Don't you ever rest? They ask, revealing their own resistance to sustained effort. When is enough enough? They probe, exposing their own comfort with mediocrity. How do you stay so motivated? They wonder, unveiling their dependence on external drivers. Your presence has become a kind of spiritual sandpaper, rubbing away at others' comfortable illusions. Simply by continuing to evolve, you force them to confront their own stagnation. Your growth becomes their discomfort, your progress their mirror. The strength you've developed isn't just in what you can do, it's in what you can endure. While they sought to avoid pain, you learned to use it. While they ran from discomfort, you learned to sit with it. While they needed everything to be perfect, you learned to thrive in imperfection. Your journey has redefined what's possible not just for you, but for everyone watching. Each barrier you break becomes a new baseline for others' beliefs about what's achievable. Your existence has become a challenge to their accepted limitations. Your success a question mark against their settled certainties. The most powerful transformation has been in your relationship with time. While others count the costs of starting, you count the costs of delay. While they wait for the perfect moment, you understand that the perfect moment is a myth that keeps perfectionists paralyzed. You've learned that being chosen isn't about being special. It's about being specified in your dedication. It's not about having extraordinary talent, but about bringing extraordinary commitment to whatever talents you possess. It's not about being gifted, but about being persistent. The peace you've found isn't in achieving your goals, but in aligning with your purpose. The strength you've built isn't from reaching the summit, but from falling in love with the ascent. This is what they could never understand, that your joy wasn't in the destination, but in the direction itself. Their attempts to replicate your results without replicating your process have become a source of silent wisdom. They want the crown without the cross, the strength without the struggle, the victory without the battle. They study your methods but miss your mindset, copy your actions but miss your intentions. Your story has become a contradiction to their excuses, a challenge to their limitations, a question mark against their settled certainties. Simply by existing, by succeeding, by continuing to grow, you've made it harder for them to accept their own self-imposed boundaries. The power you now hold isn't in your ability to prove them wrong, though you have. It's in your ability to prove what's possible. Every ceiling you break becomes a floor for someone else to stand on. Every barrier you cross makes that crossing a little easier for those who follow. Each new level brings its own tests, its own doubters, its own challenges, but you move through them differently now, understanding that resistance isn't just an obstacle, it's an opportunity. Opposition isn't just a barrier, it's a builder. The transformation continues even now. Each achievement becomes a stepping stone rather than a resting place. Each victory becomes a launch pad for the next challenge. You've learned that being chosen isn't a destination, it's a continuing commitment to growth. Your presence has become both a blessing and a blessing to those ready to rise, a burden to those committed to remaining the same. You've learned to be comfortable with both reactions, understanding that any light bright enough to guide will also be bright enough to expose. The whispers have changed their tone but not their purpose. They still seek to define you, to contain you, to make sense of you in ways that comfort their complacency. They've changed, they say, as if transformation was something that happened to you rather than through you, as if you weren't the architect of your own evolution. In their attempts to rationalize your journey, they miss its most vital component, the invisible hours, the moments when no one was watching, when no validation was forthcoming, when the only reward was the knowledge that you were laying foundations for a future they couldn't see. Those hours, those sacred solitary moments, were where your true strength was forged. Your relationship with hard work has transcended mere productivity. It's become a form of self-expression, a way of honoring your potential, a meditation in motion. While they see effort as something to be minimized, you've learned to see it as something to be maximized, understanding that in the resistance lies the growth. The evolution of your mindset has been perhaps the most profound transformation. Problems that once seemed like walls now appear as doorways. Challenges that once appeared as stop signs now serve as stepping stones. What they see as bad luck, you recognize as life's laboratory equipment. You've discovered that true strength isn't just about overcoming external obstacles. It's about mastering internal dialogues. The conversations you have with yourself in moments of doubt have become more powerful than any external validation. Your self-trust has become unshakable, not because you never fail, but because you've learned that failure is merely feedback. The way you move through the world now carries its own message. Your posture speaks of battles won in silence, of victories celebrated in solitude, of strength earned through consistent choice. You no longer need to prove your worth. Your presence proves it for you. Those who once mocked your dedication now marvel at your discipline, yet they still miss the point. Discipline isn't about punishment or deprivation. It's about devotion to a vision that burns brighter than temporary comfort. It's about choosing purpose over pleasure, growth over gratification. Your journey has exposed the myth of talent for what it is, a comfortable excuse for those unwilling to put in the work. What they label as natural ability, you know as natural progression, the inevitable result of showing up day after day, regardless of mood or circumstance. The questions you ask yourself have evolved. No longer can I, but how will I? Not should I, but when will I start? The internal dialogue has shifted from doubt to determination, from fear to focus, from hesitation to action. You've learned that being chosen isn't about being selected. It's about selecting yourself, repeatedly, consistently, even when no one else sees the vision. It's about choosing growth when comfort calls, choosing discipline when distraction beckons, choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. The solitude you once feared has become your sanctuary. In the quiet moments, free from the noise of others' opinions and expectations, you find your clearest direction, your strongest resolve, your truest self. What they see as isolation, you recognize as incubation. Your presence has become a catalyst, accelerating growth in those ready for evolution, triggering resistance in those committed to stagnation. You've learned to be comfortable with both reactions, understanding that your truth will attract what aligns and repel what doesn't. The strength they now admire isn't just physical or mental, it's spiritual. It's the strength of knowing your worth isn't determined by their assessment. It's the power of moving through life directed by purpose rather than pushed by circumstance. It's the force that comes from aligning with your highest potential rather than adjusting to others' lowest expectations. Your journey has redefined success itself. It's no longer about achieving specific goals, though you do. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally achieves such goals. It's not about reaching destinations, but about continuing to evolve through every arrival point. They study your methods now, analyzing your habits, copying your routines. Yet they miss the essential ingredient, the unwavering belief that kept you going when results were invisible, when progress seemed impossible, when logic suggested surrender. The transformation continues day by day, choice by choice. Each new level brings its own challenges, its own doubters, its own opportunities for growth. But you move through them differently now, understanding that the obstacles aren't in your way, they are the way. Your story has become both inspiration and invitation, inspiring those ready to rise, inviting others to question their own limitations. Simply by continuing to grow, you create space for others to imagine new possibilities for themselves. The power you now hold isn't in what you've achieved, though those achievements are remarkable. It's in who you've become through the process of achievement. It's in the person who emerges on the other side of consistent choice, deliberate action, and unwavering commitment. Each step forward reveals new horizons. Each victory unveils new challenges. Each achievement becomes a foundation for the next phase of growth. You've learned that being chosen isn't about reaching a final destination. It's about continually choosing to move forward. Your presence has become both light and mirror, illuminating possibilities for some, reflecting uncomfortable truths for others. You've learned to be comfortable with both effects, understanding that any transformation powerful enough to inspire will also be powerful enough to challenge. The spectrum of their reactions has become a study in human nature. Some watch from afar, crafting narratives that make your success seem unattainable for them. Others hover closer, hoping your strength might somehow transfer through proximity alone. Then there are those who've begun their own journeys, inspired not by your achievements but by your audacity to begin when everything suggested waiting. You've discovered that true power lies not in being unreachable, but in being undeniable. Your journey stands as testament not to supernatural ability, but to supernatural persistence. What they see as talent, you know as tenacity. What they label as luck, you recognize as the natural result of preparation meeting opportunity, again and again. The language of transformation speaks through you now, not in words, but in energy. Those ready for change can sense it, that quiet vibration of possibility that surrounds those who've walked through fire and emerged transformed. It draws them to you like moths to flame, seeking not your approval but your example. Your relationship with time has fundamentally shifted. While others count the cost of starting, you count the cost of delay. While they wait for permission, you move with purpose. While they seek guarantees, you embrace uncertainty as the price of extraordinary outcomes. The solitude that once felt like punishment has revealed itself as privilege. The privilege of hearing your own thoughts clearly, of moving at your own pace, of building without the constant intrusion of others' doubts and fears. What they saw as isolation was actually insulation, protecting your dreams until they were strong enough to stand on their own. You've learned that strength isn't just about what you can lift, achieve, or overcome. It's about what you can inspire in others. Your journey has become a lighthouse for others navigating their own darkness, proof that the path less traveled, though lonely, leads to extraordinary destinations. Their attempts to categorize your transformation reveal more about their limitations than your potential. They seek to place you in boxes they understand, to explain your growth in terms that make sense to their limited perspective. Yet your evolution defies their categories, transcends their explanations. The questions you now ask yourself have evolved beyond, "Can I?" to, "How will this serve?" Your focus has shifted from personal achievement to purpose-driven impact. Each new level brings not just greater capability but greater responsibility to those watching, to those following, to those still afraid to begin. Your presence has become a form of permission for others, permission to dream bigger, to work harder, to believe longer. Simply by continuing to evolve, you create space for others to imagine new possibilities for themselves. Your strength has become a mirror, reflecting back to others their unused potential. The most profound transformation has been in your relationship with struggle itself. What once seemed like obstacles now appear as opportunities. What felt like resistance now reveals itself as strength training. What looked like delays now show themselves as necessary preparation. You've discovered that being chosen isn't about being selected by fate. It's about selecting yourself, day after day, choice after choice. It's about choosing growth when comfort beckons, choosing discipline when distraction tempts, choosing long-term vision over short-term validation. The way you carry your achievements has become a teaching in itself. There's no need to boast when your presence speaks of victory. No need to explain when your journey demonstrates truth. No need to defend when your results validate your choices. Their envy has evolved into something more complex, a mixture of admiration and resentment, of inspiration and excuse-making. They want your outcomes without your output, your strength without your struggles, your peace without your battles. They study your results but miss your resolve. Your understanding of power has transcended the physical realm. True strength, you've learned, isn't in the ability to dominate others but in the capacity to remain unmoved by their judgment. It's not about being unreachable but about being unshakable in your commitment to growth. The silence of your early mornings has become sacred space, time where you forge ahead while the world sleeps, where you build your future while others dream, where you transform intention into action without audience or applause. Their mockery has become a milestone marker, a way to measure distance traveled. Each criticism you once endured now stands as testimony to how far you've come, not just in achievement, but in understanding. What they meant to harm you actually helped to arm you for greater challenges. The evolution continues moment by moment, choice by choice. Each new level brings its own trials, its own doubters, its own opportunities for expansion. But you move through them differently now, understanding that the obstacles aren't blocking your path. They are your path. Your story has become both beacon and bridge, lighting the way for those behind you while creating connections to possibilities they never imagined. Simply by continuing to grow, you make growth seem more accessible to others. The strength you now embody isn't just physical or mental, it's spiritual. It's the strength of knowing your worth isn't determined by external validation. It's the power of moving through life directed by purpose rather than pushed by circumstance. It's the force that comes from aligning with your highest potential, rather than adjusting to others' lowest expectations. Each step forward reveals new horizons. Each victory unveils new challenges. Each achievement becomes a launching pad for the next phase of growth. You've learned that being chosen isn't about reaching a final destination. It's about continually choosing to move forward. Now you stand at a vantage point they once claimed was unreachable, yet your eyes are fixed not on those who doubted, but on the next peak calling. Their mockery has faded into background noise, replaced by the clear signal of your own inner guidance. The strength they now envy isn't just in what you've achieved, it's in who you've become through the crucible of consistent choice. You understand now that being chosen was never about being special. It was about being specified in your dedication. While they sought shortcuts, you embraced the long road. While they demanded certainty, you welcomed challenge. While they waited for permission, you granted it to yourself. The transformation that began in solitude has rippled out into every aspect of your existence. Your presence alone has become a disruption to mediocrity, a challenge to complacency, an invitation to excellence. Those ready for growth are drawn to your energy like steel to a magnet, while those committed to comfort find reasons to keep their distance. Looking back, you see that every mock, every doubt, every attempt to diminish your dreams was actually fuel for your transformation. They thought they were breaking you down, but they were unknowingly contributing to your breakthrough. What they intended as wounds became wisdom. What they meant as barriers became bridges. Your journey stands as testimony to a simple yet profound truth. Greatness isn't granted, it's grown. Every sacrifice they ridiculed, every choice they questioned, every priority they criticized, all of it was merely preparation for who you were becoming. The strength they now admire wasn't built in spite of resistance, but because of it. The power you now hold isn't just in your capabilities, it's in your capacity to inspire possibility in others. Every ceiling you break becomes a floor for someone else to stand on. Every barrier you cross makes that crossing a little easier for those who follow. Your struggles have become stepping stones for others' success. In the end, what they mocked wasn't just your struggles, it was your audacity to believe that those struggles would lead somewhere meaningful. What they envy isn't just your strength, it's your courage to pursue strength when weakness would have been more convenient. Through your journey, you've proven that the path of most resistance often leads to the greatest transformation. You stand now not as someone who was chosen, but as someone who did the choosing growth over comfort, purpose over popularity, vision over visibility. Your strength isn't a gift you were given, but a choice you keep making. And in this understanding lies the most powerful truth of all. Being chosen isn't about being selected by fate, it's about selecting yourself, day after day, decision after decision, regardless of who's watching or what they say. Your presence has become both lighthouse and mirror, guiding those ready to rise while reflecting back to others their unused potential. You've learned that true strength isn't in proving critics wrong, but in proving yourself right. Not in reaching a destination, but in falling in love with the journey of continuous growth. And so you continue forward, knowing that this too is just another beginning. For the chosen ones understand that there is no final arrival, only new horizons to explore, new heights to reach, new depths to discover. Your mockers have become your markers, signposts of how far you've come, and reminders of why you must keep going. Their envy is simply confirmation that you're on the right path, the path of the chosen, the path of perpetual growth, the path of unwavering dedication to becoming all you were meant to be.